Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by the phenom Michael Bullock. We are awaiting good old MF Michael Fletcher. We'll catch him up on what he missed when he comes in. Welcome to our coverage of the go-home edition of Raw before Crown Jewel. In addition to tying a bow on the feuds that will culminate in matches at the Premium Live event, WWE had a lot planned for tonight's show. Tonight advertised, we had LWO versus New Day versus War Raiders in the number one contenders match for the World Tag Team Championship. We had Dominic Mysterio versus a former world champion. If Dominic won that match, he would be in line for a contenders match down the road. Zelina Vega versus Ivy Nile. Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. And we also heard from Seth freaking Rollins ahead of his match with Bronson Reed this Saturday at Crown Jewel. Let's take a look at what happened on tonight's episode of Raw, for this is Ridiculously Raw. So, Monday Night Raw live tonight from the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania, the home of last night's Halloween Havoc, of course. And Raw opened, of course, with their shots of everybody arriving at the arena and a recap of Jey Uso losing the Intercontinental Championship to Braun Breaker last week. Jey made his way through an excited crowd when the show went live in the arena. Jey spoke for a bit before asking Jimmy to join him in the ring. Big Jim thanked him for what he did on SmackDown and said they need to be together to take down Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline. Jey said they still had a lot of stuff to fix in their relationship, but if they were going to reunite, it wouldn't be as somebody else's henchmen. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa attacked them, and Jacob Fatu soon joined them while Solo looked on from ringside. The Usos eventually turned the tables and took out all three men. The segment ended with the reunited Usos standing tall as Solo and his boys were sent away by Adam Pearce and security. While it feels like a lot of this part of the Bloodline story is being rushed, this was a good segment. Jey having issues that need to be resolved makes sense, so it will be interesting to see how and Roman Reigns interact on SmackDown Friday night. The way WWE feels the need to show off the Crown Jewel title at the beginning of every show is hilarious. They are wearing white gloves but never touch the belt, so the gloves are pointless. And Jey saying fans no longer confuse them was a good line because it's so real. It used to be very hard to tell them apart when they had the same hair, gear, and makeup and whatnot, but you definitely know who's who now. So I thought this was a very good way to start the show here tonight. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, come on in, fresh off another one of our legendary Raw chats as always. And yeah, the Usos starting things off. New Bloodline shows up, but at the end, the Usos stood tall to close out this segment. So let the build, that long-term booking towards the big War Games match next month, commence.
Yeah, and like I said to you, Florio, I mean, you're starting to slowly but surely start to see it all come together. And yeah, I mean, Jimmy and Jey basically reconciling with each other, and that is until the new Bloodline shows up, and yeah, they basically fended them off. So, and like you said before that, Jimmy invited Jey to come to SmackDown to try to work things out with the OTC. So we'll see what happens. And it's not only leading to War Games, but also something you said. Yes, you said, Florio, that you actually told me of what it could lead to for Crown Jewel.
That's courtesy of SmackDown spoilers, and I don't want to give too much away.
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't want to. All right, so yeah, you'll have to wait until Friday night to find out about it. So yeah, we'll see how everything plays out Friday. So let's move on to our first matchup of the night.
And it was Sheamus squaring off against Ludwig Kaiser. Their first meeting since the August 5th Monday Night Raw, which was the Raw after SummerSlam, of course. That was in Baltimore. Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser, one-on-one. Sheamus wins the match, 9 minutes and 50 seconds. So Michael Bullock, another banger after banger after banger from Sheamus here.
It was another banger with these two, and I'm gonna give this 3 stars. Yeah, I mean, Sheamus with a big win here, and yeah, it's kind of what we expected. So there's really nothing more for me to say. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah. Sheamus has made a reputation for himself as being one of the hardest hitting wrestlers in WWE. So it should surprise nobody to hear that he and Kaiser left some welts on each other. Kaiser is an incredibly reliable worker who always makes his opponents look good. So this ended up being a fun encounter that ended clean with a bro kick to give Sheamus the win. A run with the Intercontinental or United States Heavyweight Championships would be great for Ludwig Kaiser in the near future. But let's not forget, Sheamus has done everything there is to do. Sheamus, has the only accolade he has yet to get is the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Perhaps, maybe this could be a slow push towards him finally getting that big moment that he should have had, a year or two ago. But the announcers noted that Sheamus has had 252 televised wins in WWE. There was a moment at ringside when Sheamus fell down and didn't look like he meant to. And the way Sheamus broke the guillotine choke by slamming Kaiser into the steel steps was awesome. So this was about 3 to 3.25. Good old MF Michael Fletcher has just got on in here. So MF, we don't have much to catch up on. Only a couple things here. The opening segment with the Usos that was interrupted by the New Bloodline, and Sheamus defeating Ludwig Kaiser in 9 minutes and 50 seconds. So, MF, your thoughts on the first two things here on Raw tonight?
I thought it was a solid opener. I thought they did a really good job. I thought it was a solid match. I thought Sheamus and Ludwig did really well. I really enjoyed what I saw with that. And as far as the opening segment goes, it was pretty good. I mean, the fans were definitely invested, and I think we can all agree that it was a solid segment to start the show. So, yeah, I think they did a really good job with it. I think they've done fine for what it's worth. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Well, he started on the Sheamus and Ludwig match. So.
Oh, all right.
Yep. So we'll go back to the top here as we get into our next match. As it was, Zelina Vega. She was not alone though. She had, of course, Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro in her corner, and then from there we also had, and then it was, and she went up against Ivy Nile, who had the Creed brothers in her corner. Ivy Nile winning the match. Unfortunately, I do not have a time of the fall for this one, so I can get that, not a problem. So so just try to find it here. 6 minutes and 32 seconds, according to another sheet I just found here. So 6:32, Ivy Nile defeating Zelina Vega. A lot of chicanery in this one. Pretty uneventful match with a predictable finish. A couple of awkward moments certainly didn't help, and neither did the fact that a lot of it took place during the break. And even the camera angle they used could not hide how far off the mark Zelina Vega was with her moonsault. So I could probably only give this about maybe 2.5 stars for the effort. I could probably say by default this was the worst fight of the night. I mean, it wasn't remotely bad, but it didn't exactly light the world on fire either. So solid, but not overly spectacular. Let's put it that way. So solid 2.5, and something had to give here. I mean, American made. They haven't been really lighting the world on fire either. They were in need of a win, so Ivy Nile gets a win for them. And yet Zelina Vega, keeps losing matches. And yet we saw that sign in the crowd, push Zelina. And one of the guys held up that sign during the entrance. So, but obviously they didn't notice. So, but it is what it is. So 2.5 stars. MF Ivy Nile defeating Zelina Vega 6:32.
Yeah, I would say more like 2.25. I mean, it's a little bit of a frustration because we kind of feel like it could have been better in certain elements. We both know Ivy and Zelina uh, definitely can bring it to the table. It's just a little bit of a disappointment that that's how the match went down. Um, some people's gonna yell that maybe this is due to the time restraints, but at the end of the day, it wasn't a the match should have been a lot more better and a lot more sharper than what it was. And unfortunately, uh, that did not transpire. At the end, it was fine, but like we said, not overly spectacular. Should have been a lot more better than what we got. So, I mean, somewhat disappointing. 2.25. Bullock, it's yours.
What did you give it for a rating?
2.25.
Yeah, I'll give it about 2.25. By default, the worst fight of the night. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was also not too good. I mean, it definitely could have been better in some areas. So a little disappointing to say the very least. So nothing more to say. Let's move on, Florio.
All right, and we move on to another in-ring segment, and it was Seth freaking Rollins. Whoa. Yep, he was out. He cut the promo on Big Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed interrupts him from the parking lot. I think we know a little something about that, don't we, guys? So, and then they brawl in the parking lot. Adam Pearce looks like his head was about to explode because we all know how he can get. So, but nonetheless, MF, your new favorite Raw superstar, Big Bronson Reed, he and Seth freaking Rollins. The excitement level for this match keeps going up and up and up and up each and every week, and tonight was no exception. What a parking lot brawl they had.
Oh man, this parking lot brawl was you want to talk about epic. Sure enough, man, they were looking for it. They were going nuts on this one. Yeah, this was pretty damn good. I can't say nothing more about it. I thought they did it was really good, really strong for me to say, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So yeah, this was everything that we were hoping for, everything that we got. Nothing more to say. So yeah, Michael Bullock, here we go. It's yours.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, this was the build for this match continues to get really good and tonight was definitely no exception, especially with this parking lot brawl and Bronson Reed. I mean, in the end, he put Seth Rollins through some tables over there, and so yeah, I mean, if the booking 101 goes the way it is, maybe Seth Rollins goes over, but we'll wait and see. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yes, great stuff here. I mean, we're getting closer to a potential show stealer here. I mean, it's definitely looking like a show stealer is in the works here. I mean, the body of work of these two guys lately. I mean, and an epic parking lot brawl, like MF said. I mean, with Rollins with that curb stomp on the table, and then Bronson Reed with that Death Valley driver through the table, and he got up like nothing happened to him. Yep, he got up on his own power. Rollins was still down, and they said that he was taken to a local medical center in Hershey for testing. So we're gonna have to definitely keep an eye on that. So hopefully all is good with him, because this is a match we've been wanting to see ever since this whole thing started. You know, that Raw the night after SummerSlam, August 5th. So we'll wait and see what happens. So Anyways, we move on. This is one of the big matches of the night. The triple threat match. Triple threat number one contenders match for the World Tag Team Championship. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus the New Day versus the War Raiders. And the winners of the match, 17 minutes and 50 seconds. It's the War Raiders. So, Michael Bullock, I don't know what else there is to say except Finn and JD, you in trouble, baby.
What was the time of the fall?
17 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, this definitely was a really good match, and I'm definitely going to go as far as to call it the fight of the night. And I'm going to give this about 3.5 to 4 on this one. I mean, this was just really good when you got the New Day and Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, and of course the War Raiders. You know what? I'm actually going to bump it down to 3.5 because we did get a little bit of some outside interference because, well, unfortunately, Chad Gable pulled Rey Mysterio out and put the ankle lock on because obviously Chad Gable's still pissed that he feels like American May got screwed out of a chance to be number one contenders. So, yeah, Finn Balor, JD McDonough, your days as champions could be numbered because you got to deal with the revamped War Raiders. Yeah, good luck with that. So, 3.5 for me. It's yours, Florio.
I was going to give it 4 to 4.25, but I'm bumping it down to 3.5 to 3.75 of a star. It's still the fight of the night, absolutely. Triple threat tag team matches are always a mix of chaos and fun because a member from each team is always legal, unlike fatal four-way tag team bouts when only 2 men are legal at once. Xavier Woods started using some dirty tactics in an attempt to win and got booed by the crowd, which seemed to upset him. Kofi tagged in and hit a dive onto everyone to put New Day back in the driver's seat. This match lasted through 2 commercial breaks and gave all 6 men time to shine, individually and as duos. Everyone worked well together to make this an entertaining and hard-fought bout. Chad Gable showed up and pulled Rey out of the ring with an ankle lock, paving the way for the War Raiders to pin Kofi Kingston for the win. And Eric and Ivar tossing Dragon Lee over the top rope onto everybody else was an insane spot. I mean, that made him look like a dang javelin, for goodness sakes. So, overall, it was a 4 to 4.25, but because of the clunky finish there, 3.5 to 3.75. But make no mistake about it, this was still the fight of the night. So, not much more to say. MF, they're no longer the Viking Raiders. They're the War Raiders, and now they're the number one contenders, and they are 1 win away from becoming the World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Impressive performance, no doubt in my mind. It's going to be very interesting to see what the War Raiders do now with the titles on the line. Will they get that pushed back to the tag team titles? I don't know. We'll wait and see. But yeah, this was the team that we remember back in NXT, and when they were the tag team champions, they were pretty dominant at that time too. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Nothing more to say. Anthony, 3.5, 3.75. It's yours.
All right, and then they made an announcement. Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks was shown promoting that WWE will be returning to the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, for their annual live event on December 26th, which is the day after Christmas. And he also added that he will be there. So that ought to be interesting. And then Jimmy Uso was shown looking for Sami Zayn. He ended up finding Jey Uso outside the building. And Jey asked Jimmy if he spoke with Sami yet. And then Jimmy pointed to the parking lot where Sami Zayn was speaking with Solo Sikoa. And Jimmy said he told Jey, and he added that the two of them and Roman had to handle things. So, yeah. So, read into that what you will. Main event of the evening. Dominic Mysterio was we all remember this from last week. Adam Pearce made the announcement that Dominic Mysterio would square off against a former world heavyweight champion of his choosing. And if Dominic Mysterio could defeat said former world heavyweight champion, then Dominic Mysterio down the line would earn a future number one contenders match down the road. Well, Adam Pearce let the cat out of the bag early, and we talked about this. I believe I know it was during one of our outings. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was our guy outing because we had one last Monday, but it was well before Raw. But it was definitely during our guy outing. I think it was while we were either going to it or leaving it. I don't remember, but we did talk about this. The three of us did talk about this. Who that world heavyweight champion could be, and we all said. And, well, I came up with the idea. Seth freaking Rollins. Well, Seth freaking Rollins has, his own issues. He's got Big Bronson Reed on his plate. So I said, what about Damian Priest? And MF and Bullock, in a perfect moment, a perfect in stereo moment, with a whoa. Don't think I haven't forgotten about that, guys. I have not forgotten about that. You guys nailed that whoa perfectly. And guess what? Who had this one? I did. It ended up being Damian Priest. So it was Dirty Dominic Mysterio, a.k.a. Dum Dum, squaring off against Damian Priest. Winner of the match in an even 13 minutes. I cannot believe I am saying this.
Say
Dominic Mysterio.
Thought you did. You probably didn't think that outcome was coming.
No, but the Judgment Day interference, we damn sure saw that coming.
Dominic proved to be a liar because he said, I'm going to do this on my own. Yeah, I wasn't buying that crap for 1 second.
And what did we say earlier during our Raw chat, Bullock? DTA.
Well, they ought to change it to don't trust the Judgment Day.
Yeah, and don't trust Dum Dum either. But nonetheless, by hook or by crook, Dominic Mysterio defeats Damian Priest with a roll-up. And, by the way, pulling the tights and getting the win. So, yeah. Okay. Dirty Dom was told earlier in the show by General Manager Adam Pearce that his mystery opponent would be Damian Priest. So he asked the rest of Judgment Day to stay backstage so he could prove he could defeat a former World Heavyweight Champion. And this played out exactly as you would expect. Dom tried to cheat while Priest used his size and power advantage to dominate whenever he could. The match got started with less than 15 minutes left in the show, and it included a commercial break. So they had enough time to not feel rushed, but not enough to do anything spectacular. This felt more like a random encounter than the blow-off to their feud, so the result didn't feel as important as it should have felt. Predictably, the rest of Judgment Day showed up and interfered while distracting the referee. Priest fought back with a steel chair, but Dom rolled him up and pulling the tights to steal the win. And then the Archer of Infamy grabbed Dominic and hit the razor's edge before hitting him several times with a chair. It felt like this was designed to get a pop from the crowd, but it felt like reactions to it were minimal. Dom got some decent heat during his entrance, but it was nothing like what he used to get. And Liv Morgan is really great with her facial expressions, and not to mention that laugh either. So, but nonetheless, I was going to give it 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5, but I'm going to bump it down to about 3 1/4 for the effort here. And now Dominic gets a number one contenders match down the road. We don't know who his opponent will be, but think about this. With one more win, Dominic Mysterio could be challenging the Ring General for the World Heavyweight Championship down the road. Hi, Mugon.
I don't think that's gonna happen though. I don't think it's gonna be with Gunther as champion. I really believe that because with Gunther as a heel versus heel, I don't think that's gonna really work out. I think they're gonna have to wait. They're gonna have to buy their time because remember, Damian Priest said that he was going to be the next one in line against Gunther because he wanted it that title shot back. All that it would just do is it would help Dom that maybe he just leapfrogged Damian for the contender spot. But I think they would have to do it again. They're going to have to run it back because Priest, as former heavyweight champion, never got a rematch, by the way. Never got a fair shot to get his belt back. So it could be one of two ways. One, Priest has to get his shot first, then Dom. Or you're going to have to do Dom versus Priest again for the number one contender because Priest, as former champion, Dom got the win over the contenders match. So he's automatically guaranteed at least an upper echelon fight. So that means they're going to have to run it back one more time before anything happens.
Okay, so
that's my theory on the whole thing.
Yeah, so 3 to 3 1/4 for this. So MF, your thoughts on the match? Unless
3 1/4, I totally agree with it. I had a laugh fest. I was on Bullock and Florio's case on this one. Oh, did I have the energy for this?
Oh yeah, especially with the roll up. And then I'm like, and then you heard me screaming, "He's got the tights! He's got the tights!" And I'm like, "Oh, come on!" And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding!"
And I'm like, "Ref, didn't you see it?"
And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me!"
What do you mean? You gotta be kidding! Look at Dom! Look at him!
The biggest win.
The
biggest highway robbery in history.
Highway robbery. Yeah. Oh, it was hilarious, man.
Perfect.
It was perfect.
It was good, y'all. And trust me, if you should have heard it. We had comedy gold going in that instant. And then of course when Priest blew the gasket, that's when I started yelling like, "What a sore loser! What a little ingrate! He's all pissy because he lost to the better man, and now he's and I'm like,
because he got screwed. He got cheated out of a win.
So
yeah, Bullock goes full on Byron Saxton mode, and I go full Michael Cole mode, even though it's Joe Tessitore who's been killing it lately.
Oh, he's been doing a great job, man. WWE hit a gold mine when they got Joey Tess to do this, man. I mean, Tessitore, I gotta say it, out of all the guys and everything else, he's the perfect guy to be on Monday Night Raw. Perfect guy. And I will say this, I hope, and I really do, I hope that by the time we get to Smack that, because they already said that in January, Pat McAfee and Michael Cole's going to be on Netflix.
Correct.
I honestly, truthfully hope that they keep Joe Tessitore and send him over to SmackDown. Let him be on SmackDown.
Well, they will.
Let him work with Corey Graves or keep
Barrett,
because don't break that two up because they're working great together.
Yes. Don't
break that combo up. And then Corey Graves can do pay-per-views, or I don't know.
Or Corey Graves could end up having or Corey Graves could be part of a 3-man booth with either team.
Yeah.
So January it'll definitely be very interesting come January for sure. But nonetheless, yeah, perfect commentary moment there. When I was screaming, "He's got the tights! He's got the tights!" And then when Rod Zapata's hand hits for 3, you hear me do the "Oh, come on!" And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And then MF just goes on and full on Jesse, ha ha ha, and all that.
The first thing you heard from me was a big old yes.
And, come on!
And then
you gotta be kidding me.
And then I turn around with the biggest win of Dominic's career.
Biggest win of his career.
He's now got a shot at the title. He is one step closer to the title.
Give me a break.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely nailed it. So, yeah. Did Bullock give his thoughts?
No, not yet.
All right, Bullock. Let's get your thoughts on the main event. All kidding aside.
We gave it 3.25 Bullock just to set you up.
three for me on this one. Yeah. So you pretty much said everything. So I'm just gonna toss it to you, Florio.
All right. Overall review, MF. Your overall thoughts on this go home show from Monday Night Raw before Crown Jewel.
Tape show, just like everything else lately.
No. This was a live show.
This was live. Oh, I thought this was taped.
No, next week. Next week they're taping in Saudi Arabia. Next week.
All right. Because I actually thought this was a taped show because I know SmackDown this week was taped, so that's why I thought. SmackDown. I thought they taped. I thought they taped this one too.
No, the tape show was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was the taped Raw.
Oh, all right.
This was live. This was LIVE.
Okay. Because like I said, I thought it was taped because isn't this the week where they go to Saudi Arabia? So that's why I
the Raw brand was here. They did a double taping Friday night at the Barclays.
So the SmackDown guys already left, and the Raw guys are now following. Like they're heading out now. In other words, all right. So I mean, yeah, nothing else to say. And look, 7.5. I thought it was a good Monday Night Raw. Nothing more to say. Bullock is yours.
What did you give it?
7.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in the 7 to 7.5 range as well. So there's really nothing more to say. Florio, let's get your thoughts, and then we'll get into your special Tony's take.
All right, 7.5 for me. Going from a 3-hour format back to 2 hours has had both positive and negative effects on the Raw roster. On one hand, the show feels more streamlined. On the other hand, fewer talents are featured in the ring every week. Tonight's show included 4 matches. Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser and the Triple Threat Tag Team match were worth watching. But it's a little disappointing that the biggest highlight from this week's show was a parking lot brawl between Seth freaking Rollins and Big Bronson Reed. The biggest surprise was how little this felt like a go-home show before a pay-per-view. Crown Jewel was addressed in a few videos, but it felt like most of what we saw had nothing to do with any of the matches that will take place on Saturday. So this is easily about 7.5. So with that being said, special Tony's take here tonight, as I am going to give you my exclusive review of TNA Wrestling's biggest event of the year, Bound for Glory, that took place this past Saturday night from the Wayne State University Fieldhouse in Detroit, Michigan, on pay-per-view, on the TNA Plus app, on Triller, and so many other hot spots there. So we started with a pre-show match, first of 2 pre-show matches. Ash by Elegance and her new bestie Heather Reckless. They went up against NXT's Brindley Reese and Zaya Brookside, and it was the heel team. It was Ash by Elegance and Heather Reckless winning the match 8 minutes and 38 seconds. 2.5, 2 3/4. It was a perfectly fine match to get things going, as the fans are always going to want to see the concierge George Iceman get beaten up. If nothing else, I'm glad they didn't start the biggest night of the year with an NXT star getting the win, as it wouldn't have felt right. Not a great match here, but the fans were into it, and that's always a smart way to get things going. And then they did the Hall of Fame inductions. Eric Young inducted Bob Ryder. You remember the story I gave last week about Bob Ryder being one of the founding fathers of TNA wrestling, along with Jeff and Jerry Jarrett, and great speech by EY there. And then the other inductee, of course, was Rhino, and inducting Rhino into the TNA Hall of Fame, none other than the heart and soul of ECW itself, Tommy Dreamer. And we know the history of Tommy and Rhino. I mean, MF knows that history better than any of us. So definitely great to see them back together. And Rhino got a big pop from the crowd, of course, because it was Detroit. It's his hometown. And both Hall of Fame inductions were very well done, in all honesty. And then we had the Call Your Gauntlet matchup. It's basically a 20-entrant Royal Rumble with 2-minute intervals at first, and then 1-minute intervals for everyone else with an anytime title shot to the winner. Number 1 entrant was Frankie Kazarian, as a result of him getting pinned by AJ Francis on the last Impact. Zachary Wentz was number 2. Jake Something was number 3. Trey Miguel was number 4. Alexander Hammerstone was 5. Rohit Raju comes in at number 6. Laredo Kid at number 7. Sammy Callahan at number 8. John Schuyler of the Good Hands at number 9. Bhupinder Gujar at number 10. Trent Seven, number 11. The other member of First Class, Casey Navarro, number 12. The Hall of Famer Rhino comes in at number 13. And then we had back-to-back knockout entrants. Tasha Steelz, the Bariqua Badass, at number 14. Lei Ying Lee, formerly Xia Li in WWE. She's now in TNA. She's number 15. The other half of the Good Hands, Jason Hotch at number 16. Leon Slater, number 17. Jonathan Gresham, number 18. Johnny Dango Curtis, JDC of the System, at number 19. And then, of course, at number 20, AJ Francis of First Class. When all was said and done, the winner of the match, in a total time of 26 minutes and 33 seconds, Frankie Kazarian goes the distance. These things are mainly about getting a bunch of people on the card, and there's nothing wrong with that. They were blazing through the introductions, which is kind of what has to be done in a match like that. Rhino was a great choice for the push to the end, but Frankie Kazarian was almost destined to win this, as he already has a tie-in to the World Heavyweight Championship match later in the night. So I'll give this about somewhere around three and a quarter or so. So then we get to the main card, and we started it off with the X Division Championship match. Speedball Mike Bailey defending against El Hijo del Vikingo. Winner of the match in 14 minutes and 49 seconds, and still the X Division champion. It is Speedball Mike Bailey. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. The pretty much non-existent build to this match didn't make me think the title was in jeopardy, but that's not the worst thing. This was more about giving Bailey a hard-fought win over a top international name, which I will take over trying to tie everything together with a last-second challenger. Rather very good opener with 2 very exciting stars. Knockouts tag team titles on the line. The champions Spitfire, Jody Threat and Danny Luna, defending against Rosemary and NXT's Wendy Chu. Winners of the match, 10 minutes and 28 seconds. And still the TNA Knockouts tag team champions, Spitfire. Solid 3 here. Right around 3 1/4. As usual, the titles feel like they belong on a regular TV match more than anything else, but it's nice to see something like an actual feud over the belts. Rosemary still deserves better than Wendy Chu, and hopefully that's coming soon, as the Pello stuff is just nonsense. I'm not sure who's next for the titles, but at least building up Spitfire. And Rosemary attacked Wendy Chu after the match was over, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that down the road. Steve Macklin versus Josh Alexander. And Josh Alexander wins the match because of Macklin passing out from a submission. 14 minutes, 45 seconds. Another 3.5 to 3 3/4. The hard-hitting aspect was good, and I wanted to see where it was going. But the zip tie thing completely lost me. And how is that either not a DQ or maybe something that earns a quick stoppage? Other than that, Alexander winning was the right call, as he's been losing a good bit lately. So this was the best result, especially with Macklin being protected. And then it was all for the TNA Digital Media Championship and the International Heavyweight Wrestling Championship. champion PCO defending against Matt Cardona. Winner of the match, 13 minutes and 16 seconds. And still the TNA Digital Media and International Heavyweight Wrestling Champion, PCO. 3 1/4, 3 1/2. It was violent, and PCO gets his revenge, but these things have become paint by numbers over the years. You can almost guarantee the spots you'll see with doors instead of tables this time around. PCO smashing through the annoying Cardona is fine, but there was no big moment here that made this one stand out in any significant way. Mike Santana squaring off against Moose. Mike Santana wins the match in 13 minutes and 44 seconds. Solid 3 1/2. There was no reason for Moose to win here, as Santana has hit the ground running as a single star and could very well be moving into the world title picture sooner rather than later. What mattered here was getting Santana the biggest singles win of his career, and he fought back to overcome the odds to get there. A perfectly acceptable match, with the result being what matters. Knockouts championship on the line. The champion Jordan Grace defending against Masha Slamovich. Winner of the match in 12 minutes and 42 seconds. And new Knockouts champion Masha Slamovich. 3 1/4, 3 1/2. You take two powerhouse women, let them beat on each other until one of them can't get up anymore. That's all you had here, and it worked rather well, with Masha Slamovich finally getting the big title win that she has been needing. Great powerhouse match, and now we'll have to see who is coming after the title next. I'm not sure how much longer Jordan has on her deal with TNA, but odds are she will be in WWE sooner than later. So that this is not much of a setback. And she's definitely still one of my top female wrestlers of this year. Now, with 2 matches left, you would think the next match would be the Full Metal Mayhem match for the tag team titles. No, it was not. The match we all thought was going to be the main event was not the main event. Next up, it was the battle for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Nick Nemeth, defending against the number 1 contender, Joe Hendry. Frankie Kazarian, special guest referee. And when all was said and done, the winner of the match, 15 minutes and 10 seconds. And still the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, the wanted man, Nick Nemeth. And if you're wondering, yes, Joe Hendry got screwed again, but it was not by Frankie Kazarian. It was John Bradshaw Layfield with a clothesline from hell. After he had laid out Frankie Kazarian, I'm like, we might have this now. We might have this now. And then when he laid out Hendry, I'm like, oh no. And Hendry kicked out of one danger zone, but unfortunately he could not kick out of a second one. He went for the standing ovation, but Nemeth countered, nailed him with a super kick, and then a second danger zone. And that is all. Nick Nemeth still the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Yes, really. JBL just helped cost Joe Hendry the world title at Bound for Glory. I don't care if Hendry is leaving next week, which he is not. You needed to give him the title here. Hendry has been the next best thing for way too long around there. But instead of going with the title change, we're sticking with the TNA tradition of not going with what the fans are begging to see. The match was good, but not great, with a rather slow pace until the big messy finish, which was about JBL. So, damn disappointing. And then they announced that TNA will be back on traditional pay-per-view on Sunday night, January the 19th of 2025, when they present Genesis from the Curtis Colwell Center in suburban Dallas, Texas. So we'll see what happens with that. Main event of the evening was Full Metal Mayhem for the World Tag Team Championships. The champions, Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards of the System, defending against Ace Austin and Chris Bay, ABC, and Matt and Jeff, the Hardys. Winners of the match, 27 minutes and 17 seconds. And once again, the new TNA World Tag Team Champions, Matt and Jeff Hardy. For me, this was the fight of the night. This was amazing. 4.5 to 4 3/4 of a star. As soon as the Hardys were announced for the match, you could tell what was coming. As soon as it was announced as Full Metal Mayhem, I mean, you knew it was going to be balls to the wall and the whole 9 yards. And big moment for the Hardys there. Incredible main event. And I know it's not for everybody. I know there's a lot of people that are dumping on this, but and I understand. But at the end of the day, though, special moment for the Hardys, to say the very least. So, all right. So, 7.5 out of 10 for me. And that was TNA in a nutshell. They had some good stuff. Most of the matches were completely acceptable or better. And a nice moment with Masha Slamovich finally winning the Knockouts title, only to entirely overthink the 2 biggest matches. Hendry winning the title, even if he hot-shotted it back on the next Impact, was what the fans wanted to see. Instead, they got JBL and Ryan Nemeth getting involved before Hendry lost pretty much clean. He fought back up and even tried his finisher, so he at least had a chance. And then there's the main event. And great moment for the Hardys. I mean, they're a great team and legends and everything. But, that was not the way to send the fans home happy. I mean, it should have been Hendry winning the title, but, it is what it is. And right now, TNA needs something to fire the fans up. And that easily could have been Hendry. But instead, they have a bunch of rather aged champions, save for Mike Bailey, who's 36. The youngest men's champion is Nick Nemeth at the age of 44. You can be older and still more than hang in the ring, but you might want to go with some people whose heyday wasn't 15 plus years ago. But overall, the show was good, but it had the same problem that has plagued TNA for almost its entire history. They will not just give the fans what is right there in front of them. I liked most of the show, and most of it worked, only for the last 2 bouts and especially the world title match, to leave a really bad taste in my mouth. That should not be happening very often, and it's almost a tradition around there. So it's a 7.5 out of 10 for me. So with that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We will be back with you again Wednesday night at 10:30 over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. We got Wednesday Night Madness, and we will have NXT, the fallout from Halloween Havoc. We got AEW Dynamite as we continue on the road to Full Gear. Maybe we'll sneak in a quick preview of the WWE Crown Jewel pay-per-view. And we also have Thursday Night Football, a matchup featuring the Houston Texans and the New York Jets. And then Thursday night, College Football Thursday, Week 10 edition, headlined by Ohio State and Penn State. That's the game of the week, this upcoming week. Friday night, we got NFL Friday. And we'll give a brief recap of the Texans-Jets Thursday night game, and then we'll preview the remaining games of week number 9, headlined by a huge game in the NFC North, the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. There's your game of the week on both sides right there. And then from there, Saturday, Cerebral Smack Talk. We'll have Friday Night SmackDown, and we will recap the Crown Jewel. And we'll see if MF wants to do Collision and it's Mikey's Mindset. We'll see. So, and then 1 week from tonight, we do it all again, Monday Night Raw. As that I heard that will be a taped show from Saudi Arabia, and from there, we will have the Raw fallout from Crown Jewel, and we will officially be on the road to Survivor Series War Games. So with all that, that's it. So until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness over on MF channel, Braceway 95, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for the Phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, of course, always and forever, our First Lady, the one and only Twisted Angel, Didi Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days, and until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, For now, Anthony Florio. So long, and bye, everybody. Bye.